My wife lied about a business trip, then spent my bonus with her affair partner, so I took back everything and watched her beg online. I'm a 34-year-old guy, and for the last 8 years, I genuinely believed I married the kind of woman who didn't care about flashy crap or attention. Claire wasn't the mushy, clingy type. She mocked those over-the-top Valentine's gestures, rolled her eyes at couples who posted their love lives all over social media, and used to say stuff like, "Stability is sexier than drama," and I ate that up. I'm not the kind of guy who writes love poems or plans surprise getaways. I'm a project manager, and spreadsheets make sense to me, not emotions. So when Claire and I started dating, it just worked. We were both practical, focused, responsible. We split bills evenly, saved aggressively, and our Friday night dates were usually leftovers and old movies on the couch. When we got married, we made a 5-year plan, literally. She had a whiteboard with color-coded goals, pay off student loans, hit 20% down payment for a house, max out both our Roth IRAs. It wasn't sexy, but it was us. That's what I thought. I thought we were building something solid, something that couldn't be shaken by petty temptation or immaturity. I thought we were teammates. She used to laugh when her friends got caught up in affairs and toxic cycles. They confuse lust with love, she'd say. I want a life, not a fantasy. I believed her, and maybe that's why I didn't see it coming. Maybe I was too busy feeling proud of our adult relationship to realize she'd stopped being honest with me a long time ago. Because when I look back now, I realize Claire didn't avoid drama. She just learned how to hide it behind practicality. And by the time I figured that out, it was already too late. It was a Tuesday when I got the email. Subject line, annual performance review and bonus confirmation. I clicked it half out of boredom, expecting the usual corporate fluff. But there it was, an $18,000 bonus, untaxed. Straight to my account by the end of the week. I just sat there staring at the screen, barely breathing. $18,000. That was more than double what I'd hoped for. The kind of bonus that could wipe out a chunk of our mortgage. I felt proud, seen. For once, it wasn't just spreadsheets and overtime. It meant something. The first person I wanted to tell was Claire. I texted her immediately. Me. Guess who's getting steak tonight? Claire. Ooh, did you get promoted? Me. Better. $18K bonus. I'm serious, Claire. What? That's insane. We have to celebrate. But when I got home and told her in person, something felt off. She hugged me, said all the right things, smiled wide. But her eyes? They didn't light up the way they usually did. Instead of launching into plans or goals, she just said, "Well, that's amazing. Maybe you should treat yourself for once." It threw me. I expected her to start whiteboarding again, maybe talk about putting it toward the principal, or finally getting that fence installed. But she brushed it off, changed the subject, even said, "Don't worry about bills this month, just enjoy it." That wasn't Claire. That night, she mentioned, casually, that she had a work trip coming up. "Just a quick conference in Atlanta," she said, already packing it away like it didn't matter. But suddenly, I was paying attention to everything she didn't say, and for the first time in our marriage, I felt like a stranger was standing in my kitchen. Claire said it was a marketing leadership summit, something her department had been invited to for networking. She made it sound boring, like panel discussions and breakout sessions in fluorescent-lit ballrooms. I remember nodding, pretending to care while sipping coffee, but my mind lingered on how eager she seemed. She spent 3 evenings obsessively packing. Not just clothes, she ordered new heels, a silk robe, a damn curling wand she hadn't used in years. "You never know when you'll need to look presentable," she shrugged. I joked, "What, is Brad Pitt giving the keynote?" She smirked. "You wish." Normally, I'd drive her to the airport, help with luggage, kiss goodbye in front of the departure gate. But this time, she insisted on taking a rideshare. "It's just easier," she claimed. "You've got work in the morning and it's not like I'll be gone long." Then came the makeup bag. It was overflowing. Claire had always kept things minimal. Mascara, lip balm, done. This time it was like she raided Sephora. Lip liners, new foundation, a glittery highlighter she never wore. My gut made a quiet thud. Still, I said nothing. Maybe I didn't want to admit that the woman I trusted could lie so smoothly. That her networking trip looked more like a honeymoon prep list. She left early Friday morning. I watched from the window as she wheeled her navy suitcase down the driveway, phone already in her hand. She didn't look back. That entire day, I tried to shake the weirdness. Told myself I was being paranoid. That not every change is a red flag, but that night, when I tried to video call her and got sent to voicemail, when I saw she'd blocked me from viewing her Instagram story, I knew. I just didn't want to believe it yet. That night, I waited until 9 p.m. to call her. I figured the conference stuff would be over, maybe she'd be back in her room unwinding. I wanted to hear her voice. Honestly, I needed to. But when I tapped video call, it rang twice and went straight to voicemail. I tried again. Same result. Okay, weird. But maybe her phone died? I went to Instagram, figuring she might have posted some generic work trip vibes nonsense. But something was off. I couldn't see her story. Claire always posted stories, her coffee, her airport snacks, her view from the hotel windows. I checked from my profile. Nothing. Just her usual static feed. But then I remembered something. Our shared backup account we used for our dogs page. Barely any followers. Just family and a few close friends. I logged in, and there it was. Her story was very much active. A boomerang of champagne flutes clinking, a candlelit steak dinner with "treat yourself" as the caption, and then one image that sent my blood cold, a photo of 2 hands on a table. One of them was hers. The other? A man's, not a colleague, not some accidental reflection. His hand was on hers. My heart pounded so loud I could hear it in my ears. I felt frozen, like my brain refused to believe what my eyes were seeing. That same woman who said she didn't care for drama was sitting across from someone who wasn't me. Drinking my champagne on my dime. During a trip she lied about, and she went out of her way to hide it from me. I didn't call. Didn't text. I just sat there in our quiet living room, trying to figure out when my marriage had turned into a performance I wasn't invited to watch. Claire got home on Tuesday night. Just after 6 p.m., smelling like coconut shampoo and the faint musk of hotel hallway perfume, she kissed my cheek like everything was normal. Like I hadn't been up for 3 nights straight cycling between anger and heartbreak. She handed me a tiny gift bag, a mug that said "Boss Husband" in bold blue letters. "Just a little something from the airport," she said with a grin. I held the mug in my hands, staring at it like it might crack in half from how fake it felt. "How was the conference?" I asked. My voice came out steady, which surprised me. "Oh, panels, coffee breaks. Lots of awkward small talk," she said, unzipping her suitcase casually like this was any other day. "You would have hated it." I sat on the edge of the bed, watched her fold clothes. "What hotel was it again?" I asked. She blinked, looked up. Sheraton Midtown, I think. Honestly, I was barely in the room." I nodded slowly. "That's weird. They didn't have any record of your company booking a block there." She froze for just a second, but I caught it. "Maybe it was the Hilton, actually." She backtracked too fast. "There were 2 host hotels." "No, there weren't," I interrupted, my voice colder now. "I called both, and your company's name wasn't on any itinerary." "You want to keep going?" Claire's face drained of color. Her hands trembled slightly as she clutched a folded blouse. "Why are you interrogating me?" she snapped. "Why are you acting like this?" I stood up, reached into my pocket, and pulled out my phone. Flipped to the screenshot from her story, the champagne, the hand-holding, the lie. "You blocked me. Remember?" Her mouth opened, closed. Then came a whisper I'll never forget. "It was a mistake." After that whisper, "It was a mistake," Claire just crumbled. Sat on the edge of the bed, elbows on her knees, head in her hands. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just stood there watching the woman I thought I knew dissolve into someone I didn't recognize. "Who is he?" I asked quietly. She didn't answer. So I walked out of the room straight to my desk and pulled up our joint account. I hadn't checked it since my bonus hit, assuming she hadn't touched it. But there it was, $7,200 gone. The transactions were all spaced out over 3 days. Venmo transfers labeled business expense. Luxury hotel charges in Charleston, not Atlanta. Spa packages. Rooftop dining. A men's Rolex boutique. I scrolled, numb. That wasn't just a mistake. That was a vacation. That was a getaway with someone she felt comfortable enough to spend our money on, my bonus, while lying to my face. I walked back into the room, phone in hand. "You took the bonus money," I said flatly. Her head snapped up. "I was going to pay it back," she blurted. "I didn't mean for it to get that far. It was just, he made me feel..." She trailed off. like she hurt herself for the first time. I didn't respond. I just turned around and started gathering my things. Not because I was leaving, no. I needed air, space, a place to think. But before I walked out, I looked at her one last time. "You didn't just cheat on me, Claire," I said. "You stole from me, lied to me, and you were smiling while you did it." She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. I shut the door behind me and drove off into the night, already planning the next move. I didn't sleep that night. I parked at the lake about 20 minutes from our place, just sitting there in the dark, watching the water ripple under the moonlight. My hands were shaking the entire time, not from anger anymore, but from the kind of betrayal that makes you question your entire sense of reality. This wasn't just a mistake. It felt too rehearsed, too clean, and that's when the question hit me. How many times has she done this before? I knew Claire's co-worker Danielle used to hang out with us sometimes before they had a falling out last year. I hadn't thought about it until now. So I messaged Danielle, nothing heavy, just said Claire was going through some things and I wanted to make sure there wasn't anything I should know. Her reply came fast. "Danielle." I didn't want to get involved, but yeah. She was talking to someone named Josh 2 years ago. I think he was a vendor or consultant. I told her it was wrong and she ghosted me after that. I froze. Josh. The name wasn't new. Claire had mentioned him back then like he was just a guy from work, tall, funny, good at his job. I remember the way she lit up saying that, but I never thought anything of it. I went digging through our old shared drive, backups of old photos. There it was, a picture labeled "Hiking Trip Co-Workers." Claire on a trail, smiling at the camera. And behind her? Josh, same guy whose watch was tagged in one of the recent Venmo payments. This hadn't started last weekend. It had started years ago. All that talk about stability, loyalty, practicality, it was a damn smokescreen. Claire didn't just slip. She had a pattern, and now I wasn't just heartbroken. I was done being the fool in her script. The next morning, I walked into my manager's office, told him I needed a week off for personal reasons. He nodded, offered condolences I didn't ask for, and told me to take whatever time I needed. I left the building with no plan, just a quiet, burning determination that something had to change. When I got home, Claire was gone, probably at work pretending her life was fine. The silence in the house was heavy. I stood in the kitchen, staring at her coffee cup in the sink, lipstick stain on the rim, and realized how many lies I'd swallowed over the years just to keep the peace. So I stopped. That day, I started taking back control, one document at a time. I logged into every joint account, screenshot everything. Bank statements, mortgage records, utility bills. I opened a new personal account under my name. Only and rerouted my direct deposit. Quietly, methodically. Every click was a small act of freedom. I even bought a small recording device, kept it hidden under the TV stand. Not because I wanted drama, but because I knew what kind of person she'd become. She lied like breathing, and I needed proof. Not just for me, but for whatever was coming next. When she came home that evening, she smiled like nothing had happened. "Do you want to order in tonight?" she asked softly, like she hadn't detonated our marriage. I nodded, pretended to be calm, pretended to forgive, because she still thought I was in denial, thought I'd crumble or beg or lash out, but she had no idea that the man sitting across from her at dinner wasn't broken anymore. He was documenting everything, and soon, the tables were going to turn. 3 nights later, I hit rock bottom. Not because of what she did, but because of what she almost made me believe. We were sitting on the couch, the TV droning softly in the background. Claire suddenly grabbed the remote, muted everything, and whispered, "Can we talk?" Her eyes were red, puffy. She'd been crying. I braced myself. "I messed up," she said. "It wasn't supposed to happen like that. He was just someone who listened when you didn't. I didn't mean for it to go that far. I stayed quiet. Then she did what I didn't expect. She flipped it. You've been so distant, you know? You bury yourself in work, spreadsheets, and logic. I felt invisible. Josh just noticed me. That hit harder than I want to admit. Because yeah, she wasn't wrong. I had been distant sometimes. Long hours, mental exhaustion, no energy left to be romantic. And for a moment, I started wondering if maybe this was my fault. She leaned closer. "I want to fix us," she whispered. We can move past this. I'll go to therapy, delete everything, cut him off. I promise, just don't give up on me." Her voice cracked at the end, perfectly timed tears streaking down her cheeks. And for a fleeting second, I almost gave in, almost believed her, until she slipped up. Her phone buzzed, and I saw the name flash across the screen. Josh, work. The contact she claimed she deleted. Our eyes met. Her face went white, that was it. Whatever sympathy I had evaporated in that instant. The tears, the apologies, they were performance art. She wasn't sorry for betraying me. She was sorry she got caught. And sitting there, watching her scramble to grab her phone, I realized something terrifying. I hadn't even begun to see how far her lies went. That night changed everything. I stopped reacting emotionally and started thinking strategically. If Claire could treat our marriage like a transaction, then fine. I'd handle the exit like a business deal. The next morning, I told her I was willing to try again. She looked shocked, hopeful even. I said all the right words. Therapy, rebuilding trust, starting fresh. I even hugged her, feeling her shoulders relax under my hands. She didn't realize it wasn't reconciliation. It was set up first move. I stopped putting money into our joint account. Quietly changed my payroll deposit back to my personal one. Bills started bouncing 2 weeks later. Claire panicked. "I thought we were getting back on track." She snapped one night, waving the overdue notice. "I'll handle it," I said calmly. "Actually, it might help if we refinance the mortgage. If it's under your name, we can get better tax breaks." Her face lit up. She thought I was being responsible. She didn't know that refinance would legally remove my liability and give me leverage for the divorce. Next, I changed the car registration. I'd bought it outright, but it was under both our names. One visit to the DMV later, and it wasn't. Same for the insurance, credit cards, streaming services, everything that tethered us financially. I even made sure to accidentally leave the updated financial papers where she could see them. I wanted her to feel in control, to think I was fixing things for us. Meanwhile, my lawyer, the one she didn't know existed yet, was preparing the paperwork. By the time she realized something was off, it would be too late, because if she was going to cheat with my money, then I'd make sure she learned what it feels like to lose everything she built with it. The weeks after I started pulling strings felt surreal, like watching a slow-motion house of cards finally come down. I didn't gloat. I kept my voice steady, my texts polite. There was a weird moral clarity in every checkbox I ticked. Freeze accounts, change titles, file paperwork. It felt surgical and clean, and somehow that steadiness made everything hit harder when it landed. The first sign came with a curt email from our bank, an alert about a hold on the joint account pending a dispute. Claire screamed at me in the kitchen, slapping a stack of notices across the counter. "What did you do?" she demanded, breath hot and fast. I barely answered. "I'm protecting my money." She called our credit card company. They told her to expect a temporary limit reduction while the investigation proceeded. The color drained from her face like someone had dimmed the lights. Then the DMV came for the car registration switch. She stood in the garage as the officer handed over the paperwork. The smell of motor oil and damp leather suddenly made the world feel smaller. "You can't do this," she said, voice thick. "You can't just—" I explained calmly that I'd paid for it and the title was being corrected. Her hands shook when she reached for the keys and recoiled when they weren't where they used to be. Word traveled because secrets don't stay secrets. Her parents called me first, confused and quiet, then blunt. They asked questions I'd already answered in my head. And when I showed them the evidence, receipts, screenshots, booking names, they stopped defending her. The circle of people who had defended Claire for years thinned into an awkward silence. Her friends stopped answering texts. Someone I thought was close unfriended her on social media the same afternoon. She tried everything. Apologies, pleas, late-night sobbing at the door. "Please," she begged one night, face wet and raw in the porch light. "I'll do anything, I can't lose this." I looked at her, and for the first time felt nothing like triumph. I felt something colder, a boundary that had finally been set. I opened my mouth to speak, and the words hovered. Then I handed her the divorce papers. 2 weeks after serving her the divorce papers, Claire finally moved out. She took the essentials, clothes, toiletries, a few kitchen items, but left most of what we'd built together behind. The silence that followed was haunting at first. No footsteps, no small talk, no faint humming from the kitchen. Just quiet. Peaceful but eerie. I was sitting on my couch one night scrolling through my phone when my friend Mark texted me a screenshot. Mark, dude, is this her? It was a Facebook post. Claire's profile picture. Captioned, I never thought I'd be abandoned by the man I gave everything to. He drained our accounts, took everything, and left me with nothing. Please, if anyone knows of remote work or help, message me. I'm desperate. I stared at it for a full minute, heart pounding between disbelief and rage. The comment section was a mess of sympathy. People I didn't even know offering words like, stay strong, girl, and men can be heartless. For a second, I considered ignoring it. But then, like clockwork, the tide turned. Someone replied, wait, isn't this the same Claire who went on a business trip with another man last month? Another person tagged Josh, her affair partner. Within hours, screenshots from her own Instagram story started resurfacing. Those same champagne glasses and hotel dinners, comment after comment flipped from pity to silence, to disgust. The support vanished. The truth spread like wildfire, faster than she could delete. By morning, the post was gone, deleted. But not before hundreds saw it. Her mask finally shattered in public. The same way she'd shattered our marriage in private. And as much as I told myself I didn't care anymore, I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel something watching it all unfold. It wasn't revenge. It was closure, served cold, digital, and undeniable. I thought that Facebook disaster would be the end of it. She'd been publicly exposed, the sympathy well dried up, and I figured she'd quietly fade away, maybe move cities or start over somewhere new. But then I got another message, this time from Danielle, her old coworker. Danielle. You're not going to believe this, but Josh blocked Claire. I blinked. Blocked her? Danielle. Yeah, apparently she's been trying to reach him nonstop since your divorce post went viral. He cut her off cold. She even showed up at his office and security had to escort her out. I shouldn't have cared. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel something twist inside me, not pity, but a grim sense of symmetry. Claire spent years believing she was too smart, too controlled, too practical to ever be played. Yet here she was, ghosted by the same man she blew up her life for. Danielle went on. He told people she was unstable, and that he didn't know she was married when it started. Everyone's distancing themselves from her. I scrolled through Claire's social media out of morbid curiosity. Her once polished feed, travel photos, brunches, corporate awards, was gone. Just one vague quote post remained. Sometimes losing everything is how you find yourself. The comments? Empty, no likes. No friends left to pretend. She'd gone from smug and confident to utterly isolated in less than a month. Her affair partner dumped her. Her friends disappeared. Her parents were disappointed. Her career stalled. For someone who once built her entire life on control and image, she'd lost both. Completely. And while I'd moved on to therapy and rebuilding, she was still clinging to the wreckage of the lies she created. It hit me then. I didn't even need to forgive her. Life had already done the job for me. It was a rainy Thursday night when she showed up again. I was halfway through dinner, leftover pasta, quiet music, peace, when the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. Through the peephole, I saw her, standing there drenched, mascara streaked, clutching something that looked like an envelope. I opened the door, but didn't invite her in. Please, she said, her voice trembling. I just need 5 minutes. I crossed my arms. 5. She stepped under the porch light, rain dripping from her hair. I've been going to therapy, she started, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I know I ruined everything. I know I broke you. But I've changed. I want to make things right. Maybe we could... Claire, I interrupted softly. You didn't break me. You broke yourself, her face twisted. You don't understand. I lost everything. My friends. My job, Josh. He used me. You were the only real thing I had. I sighed, staring past her into the dark street. You had everything, Claire. And you traded it for a lie, tears welled in her eyes. She stepped closer, desperate now. Can't we start over? Please, I'll do anything. I'll sign whatever you want, just don't walk away from me again. I looked at her for a long moment. The woman who once seemed untouchable now looked like a ghost of herself. Hollow, trembling, afraid of her own reflection. No, I said quietly. I'm not walking away. I walked away a long time ago. I'm just not coming back. Her lip quivered. She whispered something I couldn't quite hear. Maybe a curse? Maybe a plea, and then she turned and left, rain swallowing her silhouette. When I closed the door, the silence that followed didn't hurt. It felt like peace finally had a sound. After that night, everything finally settled. No more phone calls. No messages. No random appearances at my door. It was like the last storm had passed, and for the first time in months, I could just breathe. I moved into a new apartment, a smaller place downtown with creaky wooden floors and sunlight that hit the windows just right in the morning. The first night there, I sat on the bare floor with takeout and realized something strange. I didn't feel lonely. I felt free. Therapy helped. My therapist didn't sugarcoat anything. She told me straight up that betrayal rewires your brain, that it's not just heartbreak, it's trauma. And healing from it meant learning how to stop living in reaction to someone else's choices. It took time, but eventually I started seeing pieces of myself again. I reconnected with old friends, the ones I'd pushed away when Claire and I became too busy for anyone else. They didn't judge me. They just showed up, with beer, with dumb jokes, with reminders that life didn't end in that house. I started hiking again on weekends, the same trails I used to skip because Claire hated bugs. I took pictures, smiled again. One morning I found myself at a coffee shop, talking to a woman reading the same book I had in my bag. Nothing romantic, just a simple conversation that reminded me what genuine connection feels like. Real, unforced, honest. It hit me then. Closure wasn't revenge or watching her suffer online. It was waking up one day and realizing she no longer lived in my head rent-free. I didn't forgive her to free her. I forgave her to free me. And that peace? That was worth more than any revenge could ever buy. It's been over a year now. If you saw me walking down the street, you'd never guess the chaos I crawled out of. The sleepless nights, the arguments, the lies, all of it feels like a movie I once starred in but barely remember anymore. People always ask me if I'd take her back if she changed. The answer's simple, no. Because the version of her I loved doesn't exist. She was an illusion I kept feeding with trust and patience, thinking I was helping her grow when in reality, I was just watering a weed. The funny thing about betrayal is that it doesn't just break you, it reveals you. You learn what kind of person you are when everything safe is ripped away. For me, I learned that I'm not the passive, quiet guy I used to be. I'm not the one who tolerates disrespect for the sake of peace. I'm the one who rebuilds piece by piece and comes out stronger. Sometimes I still think about her, not out of longing, but curiosity. I wonder if she ever truly realizes what she lost. Not the house, not the money, not the status, but the kind of loyalty most people never find twice. And when I do, I remind myself that her betrayal wasn't just an ending. It was a beginning, a painful, necessary reset. I used to think hitting rock bottom meant failure, but now I know it's where you finally find the floor strong enough to rebuild from. If you're listening to this and going through something similar, remember this. Not every loss is meant to destroy you. Some are meant to wake you up, because sometimes the people who break you the worst end up being the reason you finally learn how to stand tall again. And that's exactly what I did.